with another country, and that's probably going to be as long as Tajikistan at the moment, as we talk about Bangladesh. As Bangladesh is officially known as the People's Republic of Bangladesh and is an independent nation located in South Asia and makes up the eastern largest portion of the ethno-linguistic region of Bengal, and is situated in the zenith of the Bay of Bengal, and the border with is bordered by Myanmar and India, and is separated from Bhutan and Nepal by the thin Siliguri corridor. In present-day Bangladesh came out of a sovereign country in 1971 after breaking away and gaining independence from Pakistan in the Bangladesh Liberation War. And early history was characterized by internal fighting, an accession of Indian empires, and the scuffle between Buddhism and Hinduism for dominance, and the border of modern Bangladesh was formed after the partition of India and Bengal in August 1947, with India and Pakistan and all. And when the area became East Pakistan as a section of a newly established state of Pakistan, following the Radcliffe Line, the name Bangladesh was initially written as two words, as Bangla and Desh, as Bangla was a key word for both the Bengali literature and the Bengal region. And the exact origin of the term, however, is not really known, as it's pretty sketchy and all that. And going back to ancient and classical Bengal, as Stone Age tools have been dated back to about 20,000 years ago and have been found in the Greater Bengal region, thus indicating human settlement in that region. And ancient Bengal was initially occupied by the Austro-Asiatics, Tibeto-Burmans, and Dravidians, and the Indo-Aryans in successive waves of migrations and main urban settlements, and established during the Iron Ages towards the middle of the first millennium BC. When the northern black polished ware culture was established in the Indian subcontinent, as Bengal was governed by the Mauryan Empire in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, and with their citadels in Bihar and Bengal territories, the Mauryans established their first geographically widespread Iron Age empire in ancient India, and the empire promoted Buddhism and Jainism, and was able to reach its apex under Emperor Asoka, as the Gupta Empire finally succeeded the Mauryan Empire in the 3rd century, and the empire was believed to have originated from the Varendara region area of Bangladesh, and it corresponded to present-day Ranjpur and Rajshahi divisions, and the area brought the theory of the Earth orbiting the Sun, and the invention of chess, and the study of lunar and solar eclipses, and the concepts of zero, and the thriving of drama and Sanskrit literature, as classical integrity. Bengal was partitioned between different kingdoms, as the Pala Empire was seen to be the biggest Bengali nation that developed in ancient history, as the empire covered the majority of the North Indian subcontinent during its peak in the 9th century, and the Palas were Mahayana Buddhists, and they wholly supported education, architecture and art, thus leading to the establishment of the Pala School of Painting and Sculptural Art and the universities of Vigmarshila and Nalanda, and the Somapura Mahavihara, the Proto-Bengali dialect, materialized under Pala rule, and the Hindu Sena dynasty, however, took power in the 11th century, and it promoted Brahmanical Hinduism and laid the basis of Bengali Hinduism. As a censor, also promoted the school of Hindu art after being inspired by their predecessors, and he also managed to merge the caste system into Bengal. And yeah, Bengal was also an intersection of the southwestern Silk Road. And yeah, and merchants from the Middle East, like Middle East Sufis and missionaries, brought Islam with them on the shores of what is now Bengal towards the end of the first millennium. And it's suggested that by some experts that early Muslims, including Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, sorry if I mispronounced that, uncle to the Prophet Muhammad, used Bengal as a passage point to travel to China, and on the southern Silk Road there's the excavation of a Abbasid Caliphate coins in the country portrayed as the early trade system during an area of the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, and when Arab scientists assimilated pre-Islamic Greek and Indian discoveries, and this eventually led to the Indo-Arabic numeral system. A successive Muslim occupation assimilated the achievements and culture of a pre-Islamic civilization in Bengal in the new Islamic polity. The Muslims were able to adopt traditions and customs, including food, dress, and like a way of life. So like wearing bangles, bindi, and saris by the Muslim women, and the art forms in theatre, dance, and music conversion to Islamic was reinforced in the country with the construction of madrasas, mosques and Sufi khanqahs. And by the 14th century, the sovereign Bengal Sultanate was formed, and it was known for its cultural pluralization, and the Sultanate, however, started to fall apart by the 16th century, and by 1532 the Bengal was overrun by the Sur Empire, who constructed the Great Grand Trunk Road, as Baro Bahuyan, Zamindars and the Hindu Rajas acquired control of huge sections of the territory, particularly in the fertile Bhati area, and toward the end of the 16th century the Mughal Empire conquered the Bengal Delta after the Battle of Takaroy, and Dakar is now the capital of Bangladesh. Okay, just got a text saying that I've got a bill for £23 for this phone on the 21st. Where was I? Dakar was formed as Mughal's provincial empire capital in 1608, and Mughal rule brought about agrarian reforms, economic prosperity and a thriving external trade, especially in silk textiles and muslin, as the agrarian reforms transformed Bengal into a rice bucket of the Indian subcontinent, as in 1717 the Nawabs of Bengal created a sovereign principality, and their headquarters were in Murshidabad. As the last sovereign Nawab was defeated on the 23rd of June 1757 at the Battle of Plassey by the British, as the British were gaining influence in the area at that time. And the rule of British East India Company began in 1757, as the Bengal Presidency was formed in 1765 with the capital in Calcutta. During the British tenure, East Bengal established a plantation economy that was centred on tea production and jute trade, and its share was supply of jute rose in the early 20th century. In 1905, the British divided Bengal and established an administrative division of Eastern Bengal and Assam, and the particular partitioning led to the Swadesi movement led by the Indian National Congress in 1911. The fifth division was annulled. I doubt nullified was even a word. And the rule of the British East India Company began in had that paragraph. By the 1930s, the Krishak Party and the Swaraj Party came to respect Bengal's new middle class, and the Krishak Party became allies with the Muslim League in 1940 to present the Lahore Resolution, which visualized sovereign nations in the northwest and eastern subcontinent. And in 1943, the Muslim League established a parliamentary government in the country, and in 1946, the victory of Bengal Muslim League at the Indian provincial elections set a course for the division of British India and the formation of the domination of Pakistan on the 14th of August 1947. And the period between 1947 and 1970 was characterized by lots of frictions between East Bengal and the Dominion of Pakistan. And on the 23rd of March 1971, the Bangladeshi flag was raised for the first time, as Operation Searchlight was, however, launched. I'm getting things! And this was, however, launched on the 26th of March 1971 by the Pakistani military junta who massacred Bengali politicians, students, intellectuals, military defectors and civil servants during the 1971 Bangladesh genocide. And during the Liberation War, Bengali locals proclaimed a declaration of independence and created the Mukti Bahini as a Bangladeshi National Liberation Army. During the war, the army held Bengali countryside and waged guerrilla operations and against the Pakistani forces, as India offered support to the army during the war, as the United States and Soviet Union also sent naval forces to offer support. And the war lasted for 9 months, and it came to an end when the Pakistani military surrendered to the Bangladesh-India Allied Forces on the 16th of December 1971. And after gaining its independence, Bangladesh became a republic within the Commonwealth and a secular democracy. In 1973, Bangladesh joined the ISC and the non-aligned movement, and later joined the non-United Nations in 1974. And in 1973, Bangladesh, Pakistan and India signed a tripartite agreement calling for stability and peace on the subcontinent. And the government at the time was led by Mujib, who was assassinated together with the majority of his family on the 15th of August 1975. In the same year, 2 army uprisings took place, and they led a recognized system of power. In 1977, Lieutenant General Zaur Rahman took over the presidency, and in 1979 he restored civilian rule and reinstated multi-party politics, and he formed the Bangladesh National Party and promoted free markets. And he also reinstated the country's foreign policy and sought out closer ties with the West, and his tenure ended in 1981 when he was assassinated by the military, and his successor was Abdus Sattar, whose tenure was ended less than a year later. It's not going well at the moment politically for Bangladesh, as Lieutenant General Hussein Mohammed Eshad was the country's next big ruler. As president, he pursued executive reforms, including devolution scheme, which partitioned the nation into 64 districts and 5 divisions. And in 1985 he held the founding summit of SAARC in Dhaka, bringing together 7 South Asian nations, including Maldives, Bangladesh, India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka and Nepal, into the regional union. And he also extended Bangladesh's road network and began significant projects, for instance the Jamuna Bridge, and he reinstated civilian rule in 1986 and established the Jatiya Party. And in 1991, former First Lady Khalida Zia led the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and was elected as the first female Prime Minister in the country's history. Yeah. And the next general election, held in 1996, the Army League, led by Sheikh Hasina, came back to power after 20 years. And in 1991, the Sheikh held a trilateral summit between Bangladesh, Pakistan and India, and helped to form the D8 grouping with Turkey. And the League, however, lost power against the Bangladesh National Party, BNP, not to be confused with our BNP who are racist twats, pardon my language, in the 2001 election, and Khaleda Zia was once again elected as Prime Minister. As the BNP's tenure came to an end in October 2006, and a caretaker government led by President Ajaduddin Ahmed worked to ensure that the parties would take part in the elections within 90 days, and the Bangladesh Armed Forces intervened on the 11th of January 2007 so as to support a state of emergency as a neutral caretaker government under Chief Advisor Fakhruddin Ahmed. As Awani League won the 2008 general elections. Every year, Bangladesh has managed to reduce the poverty by a significant amount, as in 1990 57% of the population were living in poverty. Meanwhile, in 2009, 2014, only 25.6% of the population was in poverty, which isn't bad considering, but they've still got a way to go, as the per capita income has doubled and the country has acquired success in human development. But Bangladesh still faces challenges of climate change and quasi-religious extremism and unstable politics and all. And yeah, moving on to language, as there's a bit about the language and all that this time. As the Bengali language, or Bengali Bangla, is a member of the Indo-Aryan group of Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European language family, and is spoken by more than, can I just say it might be a little popular at the moment, and is spoken by more than 210 million people as a first or second language, with some 100 million Bengali speakers in Bangladesh and about 85 million in India, primarily in the states of West Bengal and Assam and Tripura. And the sizable immigrant communities in the United States and Middle East, and in this state language of it is a state language of Bangladesh, and one of the official language is officially recognized in the state constitution of India. And there's been a general agreement in the distant past. Oriya, Assamese, and Bengali formed from a single branch, from which Oriya split off first and then Assamese later. This was one reason that the earliest specimens of the Bengali language and literature of the Jayapadas, Buddhist mystic songs, are also claimed to be speakers of Oriya, and Assamese at their own, as their own. And in the Bengali linguists, Suniti Kumar Chatterjee and Sukumar Sen suggested that the Bengali has its origin in the 10th century CE, drawing the Magai Prakrit as a spoken language through Magar. I've lost where I was up to. Through Magai Parasha, which was the written counterpart to the spoken language, as a Bengali scholar Muhammad Shahidullah and his followers offered a competing theory suggesting that the language began in the 7th century AD and developed from a spoken developed from a spoken and written Gauda, also respectively a Prakrit and Aparamisha. And although Bengali is an Indo-European language, it has been influenced by other language families prevalent throughout South Asia, and most notably the Dravidian, the Austro-Asiatic, and the Tibeto-Burman families, all of which contributed to the Bengali vocabulary and provided a language with some structural forms. And in the 1960s and 70s, Chatterjee examined dictionaries from the early 20th century and attributed slightly more than half of the Bengali vocabulary as to native words, like naturally modified Sanskrit words, cultured forms of Sanskrit words, and loaned words from the non-Indo-European languages, and about 45% of unmodified Sanskrit words, and loaned words from non-words, and the remainder of foreign words. Dominant in the last group was Persian, which was also a source of some grammatical forms. More recent studies suggested that the use of native foreign words has been becoming increasing mainly because of the presence of Bengali speakers for the colloquial style. Yeah. And there's two standard styles of Bengali. The Sadhubhasa, which is like an elegant or genteel speech, and the Chaldhibhasa, a coronal colloquial speech. The form was largely spokily shaped by the language of the early Bengali poetic works. In the 19th century, it became standardized as a literary language and also as the appropriate vehicles for business and personal exchanges, although it was, at times was used for oration. Sadhubhasa, not the language of daily communication, as Chaldhibhasa is based on the cultivated form of dialects of Calcutta and its neighbouring small towns on the Bibliography River, has come to some literary language as well as a standard colloquial form of speech among the educated, and the pronouns and verbs of the Sadhubhasa are contradicted in Chaldhibhasa, and there are marked differences between the vocabularies. Although distinctions in the Bengali are associated with social class, educational level, and religion, the greatest differences are more regional, as there are four main dialect groups roughly approximate to the ancient political divisions of the Bengali-speaking world, known as Radha, Western Bengali proper, and then there's Pundra or Varendra, with the northern parts of the West Bengal and Bangladesh. There's Kamrupa, which is northeastern Bangladesh, and Bengal as a dialects of the rest of Bangladesh. And yeah, in addition to the two cities, Sylhet and Chittagong have developed dialects with lexical and phonological characteristics that are mostly unintelligible to other speakers of Bengal. Okay? And yeah, that was language. That tells a bit about language. And moving on to legends. As throughout history, the diverse peoples who populated the vast Asian continent have had other things in common, as they feared and revered like tigers, as we're talking about tigers now. And throughout the cat's range, their stealthy, illustrious habitats, suddenly appearing and disappearing in dense forests, often at night, elevated them to a status of otherworldly beings. As familiar, the largest of the world's cats has been an iconic symbol of power and courage, woven into culture, religion, folklore and ritual, as the teeth, claws and other body parts have became amulets, and in legends the tiger has brought food to men and women lost in the forest, as tigers fought the forces of evil, protecting tribes, holy men and babies, as tigers acted as the agents of fertility and provided passage between the worlds of the living and the dead. As 9 tiger species once roamed from Siberia's boreal forests around southward to steamy-like the jungles of Indonesia and all, and from present-day Turkey to all the way to like the East China Sea. And the earliest fossils a tiger-like skull was earthed in China about 2 million years old. As the Neolithic cave paintings are the earliest existing depictions etched into the rock walls across the Indian subcontinent about 8,000 years ago, and in China's Helan Mountains, as the oldest surviving tiger statue was sculpted in China some 1,000 years after that. And tribal cultures everywhere define the cat, and as no wonder, as a magnificent animal is the reigning predator across the range, as it's huge and muscular, possessing like fearsome teeth and claws and a roar that can resound for miles, as the tigers can radiate power and can inspire awe. And their reverence has been taken many forms. For the Chinese tiger represents the masculinity and rules over the world's creatures, and naturally marked by royalty, as 4 stripes of the forehead form the character Wang, meaning king. And the Tibetans believe that the tigers held the key to immortality, and the Koreans consider them mesmerizing, sent by a variegated mountain spirit that appears in the paintings as an elderly white-bearded man, accompanied by a tiger, who is of course accompanied by a tiger. And the Naga tribes of Myanmar and India believe that the man and the tiger are brothers. They're one human and the other striped. And for many tribes, killing the beast is an unforgivable sin, as a shaman in many countries invoke tigers to move between worlds in order to communicate with the dead. And accounts from the early 1900s described were tigers in Sumatra as people who transform into tigers at nightfall and shapeshift back into human form at sunrise. So there's not just werewolves out there. So morphing into a tiger seems to be a common occurrence across Asia. And in India, were tigers were evil, sorcerers. In China, were tigerhood was considered a hereditary curse. In Thailand, rampaging man-eaters were thought to be an angry were-tiger. And in Malaysia and in Indonesia, the harimau in Jadian, or known as benevolent were-tigers, that guarded plantations were only dangerous if they were hungry. And their transformation from humans to kind of like the striped feline is described in various fables, and it usually began with the feet turning into enormous paws equipped with sharp and sheathed claws, and legs and arms. Chest and back expanded, and the tail appeared between a man's cat's long rear legs. And finally, an enormous tiger head appeared and back in human form. These people appeared normal except for one telltale physical anomaly, that they lacked a weave in their upper lip, and they were widely believed to carry the spirits of their ancestors. And Captain Henry Banderson, who travelled in Amman, which is now modern day Vietnam, at the turn of the 20th century, recounted the case where a woman was killed by a tiger that was thought to be inhabited by the soul of her dead cuckolded husband, and acts of infidelity in a village became very rare. But tigers were most commonly worshipped as powerful protectors, as many believe that when a tiger slayed a human, their soul entered the animal's body, transforming it into an everlasting protector that would forever watch over them in a time of crisis, and so few dared to kill them. And even the man-eaters, the Javan tiger that went extinct in the 1980, guarded a tree of life. In Indian mythology is filled with tigers. A tiger fights dragons, brings rain and entire droughts, and brings babies to the childless, and then keeps those children safe from nightmares, and has the ability to heal in the creation story from the northeastern state of Nagaland. And the mother of the first spirit, the first tiger, and the first man emerged from the earth together through a Panagolin's den. But the worship continues to this day in some ways, as the Faghadeva, the tiger god, is honoured as a guardian of the forest, propitiated with offerings of flowers and incense placed in the simple rock shrines. In central India, the Baghas, or tiger clan, consider themselves the cat's descendants, and north of Mumbai, the Wali tribe erects wooden tiger statues for use of fertility rites. At harvest time, they decorate them with images of entwined snakes, trees, and the moon, stars, and the sun, and they denote part of the year's harvest of the tiger is a symbol of life and regeneration. And in the early 17th century, the image shows a Hindu goddess Durga fighting Mahishasura, the buffalo demon aside her tiger. And these cats were also washed over the dead. As far back as the 13th century in China, tiger imagery was etched into tombs and monuments to ward off malevolent spirits that would otherwise have tormented the deceased. And in Chinese folk tales, the cat killed the evil and guarded the good. And in the pre-colonial Indochina, Indochina being like Vietnam and Southeast Asia, the forest-dwelling Moai people endowed them with supernatural powers that required extreme defences that when they called a cat His Eminence, a lofty one, the Master, my Lord, or a gentleman, but never referred to him as Tiger. As Banderson also discovered a belief that the soul of a tiger victim is carried around the tiger's back, and they carry deities too. And the warrior Hindu goddess Durga, slayer of demons, rides like a massive tiger. As a tiger also helped Trang Taoling, who is considered to be the founder of Taoism, to vanquish the king of the demons and amass enough power to ascend to heaven. And he also rode a tiger, like Durga. And all tigers have been depicted with wings and are drawn conjoined, with a streaking white star amidst the Milky Way, and protecting the Earth from above. Another ancient legacy, as givers of life, mediums, gods and guardians. It's no surprise for millennium medicine men of the East have imbued tigers in their path with untold healing properties, and it's a belief system that has proven deadly, with growing demand for tiger parts pushing tigers towards the brink of extinction and all. So yeah, it's really, there's many cultural properties like ivory and all, from elephants and all as well. And yeah, I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you all later for the news. So yeah, bye for now.